Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. I'm Finn McDermott and here are your top stories on Wednesday, the 10th of December. Progress unlocked. Deal resident with locked-in syndrome continues the fight to regain his speech.
He's got a life now, just not the life that he wants or wishes for.
Are we safe in Medway? We take a sneak peek at a Kent Tonight special all about safety and security in the towns.
You don't feel so safe. You never feel safe.
They're just disrespectful towards everybody, really. Not just us, but people in the high street as well.
And pine or plastic? We learn if the county prefers their Christmas trees from Mother Nature or the manufacturer.
I feel like I've got to say plastic.
Real. Real.
Resident is pushing to regain his speech and mobility after a stroke in 2019 left him with locked-in syndrome. Jeff Brown's life changed when suddenly his body was completely paralysed, yet he was fully conscious and aware inside, only able to communicate through eye movements. His family and carers have worked with Jeff to try to regain his mobility back, and a GoFundMe has been launched to try to raise funds for therapy that could see him speak again, as Megan Shaw has been finding out.
Imagine suffering a life-changing stroke that leaves you unable to move a muscle, all while being fully conscious and aware of your surroundings. This is what happened to Jeff in 2019, when a stroke left him with locked-in syndrome, only able to move his eyes.
Jeff and I met in 2010 and we married in 2016. In 2019, Jeff had a very unexpected sudden brainstem stroke. He collapsed while he was at his yard. He was airlifted to King's, where they discovered a day or so later that he had a brainstem stroke, and the damage was bad.
Now, there's a common misconception around those with locked-in syndrome that they'll be like that for life. But change is possible, as Jeff and many others are living proof of. Jeff's family and his carers both believe Jeff could be able to get his voice back. Before his life changed, Jeff was an avid motorcycle fan, and the fight to get back on his bike one day continues.
Ever since working here and working with Jeff, every week there's something else that Jeff manages to achieve. His levels of trying to progress just get more and more each time. He doesn't want to just do little movements, there's bigger movements, and the same with his voice, his legs. And yeah, as I say, I was quite naive coming in at first, but as you see Jeff doing so well and progressing, he just wants it more and more, and so do you.
In 2020, his family raised money to fund a specialist physiotherapy bike for him. And now, Jeff is embarking on the final push to speak again, for the first time in 6 years.
We can access more rehabilitation for him to be able to really push him and get him where he needs to be. I feel if he could have intense therapy every single day, or at least 3-4 times a week, he can really push himself to where he can actually get back on those motorbikes and can actually... He's got a life now, just not the life that he wants or wishes for.
But with so much uncertainty, how does the family stay positive?
If we forget to keep his head straight, or if we don't pay attention in time, we get fines now. £2 a time.
Through humour and remembering they have each other. Megan Shaw for KMTV in Deal.
Next up tonight, the villagers near West Hoham are making their voices heard against the planners of a new 70-acre lorry park. The plans for 600 brand new HGV spaces will be just off the A20 motorway, but many local residents staunchly oppose its construction. Bosses from GSE Group, which is behind the scheme, say it will improve the lives of residents across the district who are fed up with queues of trucks clogging up major routes. We spoke to some of the residents to hear their thoughts.
They're killing the village. It's a village that it's our home. It shouldn't be allowed to happen. If they do this, it will cause accidents on that slip road because you'll be backing up onto the A20. Then they have to alter the roundabout at the bottom, and in the mist, I'm standing a metre from you, you can't see that far in front of you.
What three things do we need to survive as human beings on this planet? We need food, we need water, and we need shelter. Now, I've looked around this presentation today by GSE, and not one slide does it mention farming, or the loss of farmland, or the loss of food production.
So we're looking at replicating the facilities we've got at Ashford and providing a 600 space truck stop, obviously directly accessed off the A20. In terms of, why we're trying to do this, obviously Dover being one of the busiest roll-on, roll-off ports in the world, huge amounts of HGV traffic come through this port every single day. And there's a need in excess of 1,000 trucks, that have nowhere to park every single night. We are determined to provide them with somewhere to park. Yeah, there's obviously a lot of motion in the room today. Huffham is obviously the nearest settlement, so obviously they are directly impacted by this. I think in terms of the issue as a whole, it is an issue that impacts the wider Dover district. What we can say is that we will do everything we can to mitigate the impacts on the neighbouring villages, but it's also something that has the potential to improve the lives of other people in the district every single day, particularly those who, experience disruption going in and out of Dover, and those who work in the wider Dover district.
Next, hospitals, GP surgeries and community services across the county are bracing for major disruption. This comes as resident doctors stage a 5-day strike from the 17th to the 22nd of December. NHS Kent and Medway warns the walkout will put significant pressure on already stretched winter services, particularly emergency departments and GP practices. The public is urged to use 111 online for urgent concerns and reserve 999 for life-threatening emergencies. Operation Brock will return to the M20 next week as Kent prepares for a surge in festive travel. The motorway will close overnight on the 15th of December between Ashford and Maidstone, so the scheme can be installed. The contraflow system will manage lorry queues between junctions 8 and 9 to reduce congestion heading to the Port of Dover and the Eurotunnel. Officials say it's needed due to high predicted passenger numbers, though it costs taxpayers around £250,000 per deployment. Now, with flu cases on the rise this winter, hospitals across Kent are seeing more patients becoming unwell. We spoke to the Chief Medical Officer of NHS Kent and Medway, Kate Langford, about how the flu can spread, what to look out for, and the simple steps like vaccination and good hygiene that can significantly reduce your risk.
So the simplest and best protection is to get yourself vaccinated. So if you're in one of the groups who are most vulnerable to flu, or a parent of a child who's in that group, I would definitely urge you to get vaccinated. There's still time, and you can look at the website www.getvaccinatednow.co.uk, and that will show you where you can go, as will your NHS app. So if you're in a cohort that's offered a vaccination, please get it. For everybody else, there's still a lot you can do. Good old-fashioned hand washing is actually really good at preventing you picking up germs off surfaces. So I'd say don't forget the hand washing. And the other thing is, if you have got a cough or a cold, either stay at home or wear a mask when you're in public to try and stop spreading it around. That would be really helpful.
Stick around on KMTV this evening for a Kent Tonight special, where we'll be asking the question, is Medway safe? The special will focus on antisocial behaviour in the high street, as well as hearing from faith leaders in the community about the rise in nationalism. We'll also hear from Medway Council leader Vince Maple to find out how he's changing the towns for the better. Here's a preview.
Well, look, I think I want everywhere in Kent and Medway to be a safe place. Over the years of the Conservative governments, we saw cuts in policing, particularly community policing. And that's meant in some cases the community stepped in. So here in Chatham, we have the Chatham Ambassador Scheme that's funded in part by the Pentagon Centre, in part by some of the traders and one of the local developers. And for me, that's about making people feel safe and confident to come to the town centre, but also supporting those who need support.
Me and my colleague experienced 3 accounts of racism in 1 hour of being on Gillingham High Street. What do you think of that? Are you surprised?
I'm disgusted, first and foremost. That should never happen. No one should tolerate that, and I'm sorry that happened to you and your colleague. I think what we've seen in recent times, particularly with things like raising the colours, with people raising flags in a way which is organised by far-right activists, that's led to people who have those views almost feeling more confident in being unacceptable. In my view, racism is never acceptable. Many years ago, I used to organise Medway Love Music, Hate Racism. I still love music and I still hate racism. So from that perspective, absolutely, people probably feel at this point in time that they've got more powers to be able to make horrible comments, both in person but particularly online as well. One of my friends who's the MP for Gillingham and Rainham, Nashaba Khan, who's a female Asian MP, everybody in politics gets grief online, but what she receives is unbelievably disgusting. So yeah, we've got more to do on that. I'm volunteering, I'm helping my community, I'm standing up as council leader to say everybody is welcome in Medway, not being divisive, which we see far too often.
So what is your council doing to tackle this kind of racist rhetoric?
Oh look, so we've been really, really clear. We've taken down the flags. And look, I've got a bit of abuse online about that, but actually when I've come down the high street here in Chatham and elsewhere, we put out a big video on a Friday. Over that weekend, more than 20 people stopped me and said, you've done the right thing. And I'm proud of that.
And remember, you can check out the full Kent Tonight special at 6:30 this evening, right here on KMTV. But for now, it is time for a quick break. Coming up after that, we'll speak to Florey's Friends Rescue about the generous £2.4 million donation that Ricky Gervais has given to 22 different charities, 2 of them coming from Kent. All that and more after this short break. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. Now, South East Water plan to invest up to £500,000 to replace 1 kilometre of burst-prone water mains, which has sparked traffic concerns in Smardon by Ashford. The closure of Biddenden and Bethersden Road on January 5th worries locals, as they say construction on more roads in the area could further traffic congestions. Councillor Kayleigh Brunger-Randall of Ashford Borough Council claims the diversions would cause havoc on smaller lanes. Jeremy Dufour, project manager for South East Water, said, "We know road closures are disruptive and they are a last resort." Now, Ricky Gervais has donated £2.4 million to 22 different charities, 2 of which are here in Kent. Florey's Friends Rescue was one of the charities to receive the donation. Based in Canterbury, they work on rescuing, rehabilitating and rehoming abused and unwanted animals. Well, I can say with pleasure we're now joined by Natalia from the rescue to discuss their work and the donation. So thank you for joining us, Natalia. When you first found out about the donation, what was your personal reaction?
Relief for all the paralysed dogs that are now not going to lose their lives next year.
I see. And tell us, for anyone who doesn't know, a bit about the work that you do at Florey's Friends Rescue.
So we are a paralysed dog rescue. All of our dogs have got broken spines. They rely on the use of wheelchairs, prosthetic limbs, and also bilateral rear double amputations. So we are an extremely niche rescue. We take on the dogs that no other rescue does want to take. And obviously that comes with absolutely massive overheads because we work very closely with a lot of surgeons. We have overheads of over £300,000 in just surgery bills alone. But we give animals the chance that they would never have anywhere else because the only other option for them is euthanasia.
I see. And we're getting nearer to Christmas. You mentioned that relief there. What is that like around this time of year to get that? How much is that going to impact the business?
So the rising cost of living has massively affected us hugely. And then coming up to the Christmas period also, people cancel their donations to many charities because people want to buy their Christmas presents. So for us, this means we can operate for at least another year and save the lives of many, many animals.
And you're hands-on with these animals every day. Could you share a little bit about who's currently in your care? Maybe a few animals who've really touched your heart recently.
Yeah, so we actually have a one-legged dog called Giselle, who was hit by a HGV lorry and left on the side of a motorway for 6 days. We found her on a traffic camera. We also have a dog called Winnie Peg, who was thrown off Brighton Pier. And we also have a dog called Patsy, who her legs were cut off with a machete. They're one of many of the dogs living in our care, in our sanctuary residence, who require incredibly specialist help and rehabilitation. And it's dogs like them that we specialise with, and we will keep these dogs on forever. Some we will rehome and find lovely families for. There are some amazing people out there that take on these dogs. But unfortunately, to get these dogs from start to finish is about £7,000 to £10,000 a dog.
I see. And for people watching at the moment who feel moved by your work, what's the most impactful way they can support you as a charity?
So we always say we have a £1 a month donation campaign. People think £1 does not matter. Yes, we've had a large donation from Ricky Gervais, but that does not even cover 1 year of our running costs. So even £1 a month, a share on Facebook, offering to foster one of our animals, or even just volunteering some time and sharing our social media posts. People think that things can be too small to do. Nothing is too small to support your local animal shelter. Every single action, every penny really counts for us.
Absolutely. And this is such a big moment for the rescue. How are you and the team going to take it in? Are there any celebrations planned?
No, we work 24/7, 7 days a week, no days off. The animals don't know it's celebration day. They don't know it's bank holiday. They don't know it's Christmas. But we're lucky. We absolutely love our job. We are more than happy to celebrate with a cup of tea and cleaning out a cat tray or a kennel.
And you mentioned that feeling of relief. Did it also come as a surprise? Did you have any inkling this was going to happen?
We have some patrons that have connections with Ricky Gervais. We didn't know it was coming, no, but we have been working relentlessly hard for 11 years. And we knew that the next 2 years was finally these dogs' time to shine and to raise awareness for disability in animals, because human beings are accepted as disabled. Human beings are helped when they become disabled, whereas animals are basically put to sleep when they become disabled. And for us, our mission is to make sure that people understand that disabled dogs and cats are okay too. So we knew that the next couple of years that some of our hard work was going to have to pay off.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Natalia.
Thank you for having me.
Now we're going to take a look at the sports headlines from all across the county.
In cricket news, Kent captain Sam Billings has announced that he is committing to at least another 2 years with the Kent Spitfires Cricket Club. The 2-year contract extension comes just before the 34-year-old's 300th appearance for the county since graduating the Kent Cricket Academy in 2011. Billings' decorated career has seen victories with many teams, including the Spitfires obtaining the Vitality Blast title in 2021, which was the second trophy of its kind in Kent's history. His impressive vocation has also seen triumph in the Indian Premier League as well as the Pakistan Super League. The next stage in the captain's career is set to run all the way until 2027. He says, "While last year was gutting, we were so close to reaching another finals day." Kent's director of cricket, Simon Cook, considers him a huge asset for the club, and Billing mirrors his optimism by assuring the press that he's looking forward to a great couple of years and hopefully more silverware. International success from Broadstairs-based Alchemy martial arts students after they return home with medals. Ross Barnett, hailing from Margate, won silver after travelling all the way to Abu Dhabi for the AJP World Jiu-Jitsu Championship. And Freddie Finn from Broadstairs claimed gold at the London 4 Kids International Open Jiu-Jitsu Championship and followed with silver at the IBJJF Europe event in Dublin at just 15 years old. Finn's mum, Amy, thanks coach Liam Harris for giving him support throughout his entire jiu-jitsu journey, stating, "Freddie definitely wouldn't be where he is today without him." And there's so much more to come from him, says Folkestone Invicta manager Jay Saunders on teenage midfielder Mikey Berry's potential. Berry's talent shone through after a 1-0 victory against Brentwood, cementing their lead in the Isthmian Premier League. Berry, still only 19, has already played for Ashford and Tonbridge after he spent his youth career at Charlton. As one of Saunders' first signings, the manager has very openly admitted his thoughts on the 19-year-old centre mid. "He frustrates the life out of me, but he gives us good legs in midfield. It appears that only time will tell how far his promising career will go."
Now, don't forget you can stay up to date with all the latest stories from across Kent by visiting our website, kmtv.co.uk. There you'll find all our reports, including this one, where more than £18,000 worth of donations have been raised for KMFM's Give a Gift campaign, which aims to make sure every child receives a present this year. Now, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, but for some people here in Kent, that doesn't always look like how people might expect. For some, it can be a difficult time, so 4 years ago, KMFM started their annual Christmas Give a Gift campaign to try and make sure that no child would be without a toy in the holiday season. And this year, they've broken their previous records and smashed their £10,000 target, raising more than £19,000, plus at least £4,000 worth of toys, all going to children who need them most.
So we're talking about children that are unfortunately going to be in hospital over Christmas. That is obviously an incredibly challenging time, and to be able to bring a smile to their face, we've been really lucky to meet children before who have previously spent time in hospital, or parents who were in hospital when they were younger, and they remember receiving a toy either through Give a Gift or similar campaigns, and they, it had a wonderful positive impact on them.
With the donations flooding in, Suez Recycling gave £1,000 towards the cause and went down for a tour of the studio. Now, the Give a Gift campaign is all about giving children who might be having a difficult Christmas a reason to smile. And as you can see, I'm sat inside the Suez Recycling bin lorry that they've brought down with them to the KMFM offices, and they've also brought £1,000 more money to the campaign. They say it's something they try and do every year, but that Give a Gift was particularly special.
So our contract manager for Ashford, Ryan, heard about the Give a Gift campaign on the radio and gave me a call straight away to say that it was something that he really thought we should get involved with. We try and do something around Christmas every year anyway, so it was the perfect timing, and all our crews and staff across our Maidstone, Ashford and Swale depots were really excited to get involved, and so we were really lucky to be able to raise the amount that we did.
While many have donated money to KMFM's Just Giving page, others have brought toys to be given out, with one paramedic team bringing enough to fill most of their car.
So last year at Paddock Wood, my missus here did their own competition or their own fundraiser in the last 2 weeks of November, and they raised about 40 gifts. So this year she wanted to make sure that it was more successful and just trying to get as much toys as possible. So we created a competition between Medway, our EOC, our dispatches, and our call takers, and Paddock Wood to see who could get the most toys.
The donations have now closed, and so the process of sorting the toys and travelling across the county to make sure they find a home this Christmas can now start. Finn McDermott for KMTV in Medway. Now it's time for a quick look at the weather. Into this evening, Kent will have clear skies throughout, temperatures reaching highs of 9 degrees, dipping to around 7. Into tomorrow morning, we'll see some more sunshine breaking through the clouds, highs of 10 degrees in Margate, lows of around 9. The afternoon set to turn cloudier, though temperatures will edge up slightly in some areas, reaching highs of 11 in Medway and Dartford, lows near 10. And here is your outlook. Friday will be cloudy all day, with temperatures reaching around 13 degrees. A little bit cooler on Saturday, highs of 11. Sunday will be slightly warmer, highs of 12 with some sunshine. Now it's time for a quick break, but coming up we'll be returning to our top story about a Deal resident who's pushing to regain his speech and mobility after a stroke in 2019 left him with locked-in syndrome. We'll be talking about that and more news from around the county just after this break. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight live here on KMTV. I'm Finn McDermott and here are your top stories on Wednesday the 10th of December. Progress unlocked. Deal resident with locked-in syndrome continues the fight to regain his speech. Are we safe in Medway? We take a sneak peek at a Kent Tonight special about safety and security in the towns. And pine or plastic? We learn if the county prefers their Christmas trees from Mother Nature or the manufacturer. Now a look back at our top story tonight. A Deal resident is pushing to regain his speech and mobility after a stroke in 2019 left him with locked-in syndrome. Jeff Brown's life changed suddenly when his body was completely paralysed, yet he was fully conscious and aware inside, only able to communicate through eye movements. His family and carers have worked with Jeff to try to regain his mobility back, and a GoFundMe has been launched to try and raise funds for therapy that could see him speak again, as Megan Shaw has been finding out.
Imagine suffering a life-changing stroke that leaves you unable to move a muscle, all while being fully conscious and aware of your surroundings. This is what happened to Jeff in 2019, when a stroke left him with locked-in syndrome, only able to move his eyes.
Jeff and I met in 2010 and we married in 2016. In 2019, Jeff had a very unexpected sudden brainstem stroke. He collapsed while he was at his yard. He was airlifted to King's, where they discovered a day or so later that he had a brainstem stroke, and the damage was bad.
Now, there's a common misconception around those with locked-in syndrome that they'll be like that for life. But change is possible, as Jeff and many others are living proof of. Jeff's family and his carers both believe Jeff could be able to get his voice back. Before his life changed, Jeff was an avid motorcycle fan, and the fight to get back on his bike one day continues.
Ever since working here and working with Jeff, every week there's something else that Jeff manages to achieve. His levels of trying to progress just get more and more each time. He doesn't want to just do little movements, there's bigger movements, and the same with his voice, his legs. And yeah, as I say, I was quite naive coming in at first, but as you see Jeff doing so well and progressing, he just wants it more and more, and so do you.
In 2020, his family raised money to fund a specialist physiotherapy bike for him. And now, Jeff is embarking on the final push to speak again, for the first time in 6 years.
We can access more rehabilitation for him to be able to really push him and get him where he needs to be. I feel if he could have intense therapy every single day, or at least 3-4 times a week, he can really push himself to where he can actually get back on those motorbikes and can actually... He's got a life now, just not the life that he wants or wishes for.
But with so much uncertainty, how does the family stay positive?
If we forget to keep his head straight, or if we don't pay attention in time, we get fines now. £2 a time.
Through humour and remembering they have each other. Megan Shaw for KMTV in Deal.
Now in Maidstone, a burglar has been imprisoned after breaking into Pudding's Cafe twice in one night. The incidents happened late on December 2nd and the first thing the next morning. The burglar, Danny Crawley, smashed through the window and took an iPad, as well as the tip jar and till drawer. The police responded quickly and found Crawley inside the premises around 2:45 in the morning with stolen items, and he was arrested. Crawley admitted to burglary and criminal damage at Sevenoaks Magistrates Court the following day and was sentenced to 20 weeks imprisonment. The owner of Pudding's, Marta Squires, says the burglary will cost her business as much as £1,000, something that poses a threat to the shop's existence. Now at the PMQ's, Ashford's MP, Sojan Joseph, applauded the progress on the health service. We can hear what he had to say now.
Working in NHS, I saw the consequences of Tory underinvestment in our health service. I welcome the progress under this Labour government, falling waiting lists, higher patient satisfaction with the general practice, and the rollout of neighbourhood health centres announced in the budget. I thank the frontline staff, including in mental health and community services, for all their hard work, and I am especially grateful to all the staff at the William Harvey Hospital in Ashford who turned up to work during the last BMA-led resident doctor strike and ensured that so many planned appointments went ahead. With rising hospital admissions because of flu and increased demand on A&E services, does the Prime Minister agree that the BMA should call off their next planned strike and instead work with the government to find a solution?
Well, Mr. Speaker is right. Waiting lists are falling with over 5 million extra appointments. More people are being seen within 18 weeks, and we've hired 2,600 new GPs. That's real progress thanks to the hard work of NHS staff, backed by our record investment. I do think the strikes are unjustified and they threaten that hard-won progress, and the focus should always be on patients.
Well, the Kent Politics Show presenter Rob Bailey joined us earlier to break down the PMQs further. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Rob. We're going to be discussing all of the Kent news surrounding the PMQs today. First of all, Dartford MP Jim Dixon asked about the record of the Reform UK-led Kent County Council. Now, Keir Starmer says people in Kent have been let down by Reform UK. Do you think this is a fair judgment here in Kent?
Well, I think what we've got to see this as is Labour taking advantage of some open goals. They see reform as a big threat. It's become a bit of a feature of PMQs now that the Prime Minister is given a soft question by a Labour MP that enables him to attack reform in Kent, because reform, the Kent County Council is reform's most notable, biggest local authority that it is in charge of. And so it's a really kind of important line of attack for Labour, they would see it. So it has to be seen in that context. It is Labour setting themselves up to have this attack. But Keir Starmer today once again kind of accused reform of overseeing chaos in Kent, said the community had been utterly let down by them. This comes at a time, of course, when we're waiting to hear how big the tax rises that will come in our council tax bills will be. Everyone's expecting that to be a 5% rise in council tax, accompanied by cuts in public services. Reform have yet to unveil those plans fully to the public. So there is a lot of fear out there about what might be coming up next year. There was some specific criticism in PMQs today of services for vulnerable people in Kent, which may be at risk if KCC is looking to save money. And I think this is an argument that's going to keep on rolling, at least for the next few months as budget season approaches in local government.
Absolutely. And mentioning the budget there, Jim Dixon also referenced this phrase, the squeezed middle, a group of families within the sort of class boundaries who would be adversely affected by the budget that Reeves has said, that Reeves has set out. She also said she's determined to cut the cost of living by reducing rail fares and freezing prescription charges for the second year in a row. Do you think that'll be effective in maybe curtailing that squeezed middle here in Kent?
This was the much more revealing part of what happened in Parliament today, I think. This happened in the Treasury Select Committee. Jim Dixon, the MP for Dartford, not asking a soft question of a Labour frontbencher on this occasion, but asking directly, was Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, worried about the impact of her budget on squeezed middle, as it's often called, the working families, people who have a little bit of disposable income, people who may normally be able to save, who have a relatively comfortable life, who right at this moment in time feel like they're under attack from various different taxes and the cost of living increases, people who can no longer afford all of the things that they used to buy at a supermarket, people who may be thinking twice now about taking a summer holiday, people who are worried about the opportunities that their children might have to find work or to own homes in the future. These are the political definition of first world problems. They're not the sharp end of the most vulnerable people seeing services cut. But in electoral terms, these are really important views that voters have. People who feel their quality of life is declining, who feel their money doesn't go as far, they're likely to be very unhappy with whoever's in government. And Jim Dixon's question today reveals concern among Labour MPs that Labour is not currently making people feel better off, not making them feel happier, and that there may be electoral consequences for that in the future. And of course, in a county like Kent, where Labour picked up a lot of seats in the last general election, that could already be something that is causing some anxiety in the Labour Party.
Another Kent MP, Sojan Joseph, has praised workers at William Harvey Hospital, but has also criticised other striking doctors, especially during a flu epidemic. Now, with these strikes going on around pay disputes, what do you make of this kind of debate?
Yes, this was interesting. Sojan Joseph obviously is a former nurse, so he's very often asks questions relating to the NHS in these kind of forums. He praised William Harvey staff for working through the last set of strikes. There is another set of strikes coming up this month over pay and working conditions. Keir Starmer said that doctors should put the health of people first. And obviously, right now we're in the middle of what is a quite serious flu epidemic this winter. So I think there's going to be some friction there between the BMA, which is calling these strikes, and between the Labour Party, which obviously normally is the party of unionised workers. But right at this moment in time, politically, Labour doesn't want to be seen to be supporting strikes when people are urgently in need of healthcare and wards are filling up with vulnerable people with flu.
I see. Well, thank you so much for your time, Rob, for bringing us more detail on Kent's political agenda. Now it's time for another quick break, but coming up we'll be joined by a BugLife representative after an annual survey from BugLife and Kent Wildlife Trust shows a shocking decrease in local insect abundance. Now this is the 5th year recorded of a significant decline around the country. That's according to BugLife. Residents of Rainham will also be sharing their favourite kinds of Christmas trees, whether or not they buy for it, they will go for a real tree or buy a fake one. And as always, we'll also be taking a look at the weather where you are. Don't go anywhere. We'll catch you after this short break. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. Now, Folkestone Ski Racing Club says it's on the brink of collapse after losing access to its dry slope when Folkestone Sports Centre closed last summer. The slope has become overgrown, forcing members to travel 40 miles to train in Medway, with many leaving the club altogether. The Sports Trust, which took over the site earlier this year, plans to reopen the swimming pool in 2026 and say they're still reviewing the future of the slope. Local swimming clubs have also been hit hard by the closure. Now, Bugs Matter, the annual survey from BugLife and Kent Wildlife Trust, shows a shocking decrease in local insect abundance. By monitoring bug splats on vehicle number plates, this method of collecting data has revealed there's been an annual average decline of 23% since the survey started in 2021. I'm pleased to say joining us here is Paul Hetherington, a representative from Bugs Life. So, Paul, thank you for joining us. What are the main reasons for the declining abundance of bugs?
So there's a whole raft of reasons. I suppose number one really is loss of habitat. And with loss of habitat, you have got the problem of loss of connectivity of habitat. And then it's a horrible vicious circle that feeds itself, if you like. So once you've lost that connectivity, if you then lose another bit of habitat, everything in it is lost because it can't get anywhere else. On top of that, we've got our overuse of chemicals. And here I'm talking pesticides and herbicides. The other pollutions we put out there, like light pollution, has a very negative impact on things like moths. Climate change, which particularly affects things like bumblebees and mayflies. And of course, non-native invasive species, which in Kent, unfortunately, you're very well aware of the yellow-legged hornet, for instance.
I see. And with this survey, what's the most telling sign that there's been a bug decline?
Well, we can talk about percentages, but basically, if we had 5 bugs in 2021, today we have less than 2 left. And that really puts it into terms that everyone can understand. We've gone from 5 bugs to 2 in 4 years. This is a really serious rate of loss, particularly when you bear in mind that it is believed that there were far more greater losses back in the 1970s and so on when we were spraying DDT all over the place. So we're in a very serious point here, very close to the tipping point of no return. And that would be absolutely critical to our farming and to our just general well-being.
And for our viewers out there, why are insects so important to our ecosystems?
Pollinators alone are responsible for 1 in every 3 mouthfuls of food that we eat. Also, you take away bugs and you will lose all but probably a couple of species of birds in the UK. They're so important as part of the food chain. Basically, you'd keep the crossbill because the crossbill eats grass seeds and they don't need insects to grow. And you'd probably keep one of the carrion raptors because they could feed on rabbits that get run over by cars. And that would be about it for birds. We would lose 8 out of every 10 of our wildflowers. The impact would be immense. We would have to live on potatoes and rice and wheat. Yeah, it'll fill you up, but it won't give you much nutrition and it'll be a very, very bland diet.
And is there anything that us as the general public can do to help?
We can all do our own little bits, even if we live in a flat. If you can put up a window box and plant some of the right kind of plants, and I always say if that is all you can do, plant herbs, let them flower, because you can then also pick some of those herbs and use them in cooking. So it's a win-win situation. And what you're effectively doing is you're creating, if you like, a motorway service station where bugs can drop in, they can feed up, and it will just enable them to get to that next really good place where they can live. So yes, we can all do our own thing. And obviously the other thing to do is we don't need to use pesticides and herbicides in our gardens. Let's not be lazy gardeners. Let's do it by hand.
And can you express for us, are there any numbers that suggest how significant the bug decline is here in Kent compared to the rest of the UK?
So across the UK, we're looking at roughly a 19% decline per year. So the figures in Kent are slightly higher than the UK as an average. The figures for all of southern England are higher than the UK as an average, and I think that's probably got something to do with the sort of more intensive agriculture that we have here. Scotland slightly less affected, north of England slightly less affected, but I mean everywhere we are looking at declines in in double figures per annum since 2021. So we're looking at mass declines across the whole of the UK. Kent is getting it slightly worse. It's also probably because you're at the forefront of where we're getting this warmer weather. And saw the weather forecast earlier, nice warm winter weather. Yeah, a lot of bugs like to hibernate. Bugs cannot hibernate when the temperature is above 5 degrees. I'm a bee, I come out at this time of year. There's not many flowers around, are there? And that is also a real big part of the problem. It's the change in our weather.
I see. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Paul, and telling us more about this, something that many people might not even consider. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Now, don't forget you can stay up to date with all the latest stories from across Kent by visiting our website, kmtv.co.uk. There you'll find all our reports, including this one, where a new initiative backed by both Medway Council and Ideas Test aims to combine tunes and trash to discourage children from littering. Let's have a look.
Thank you for giving me some more litter.
Say hello to Chatham's first bin that's both on the beat and ready to drop the beat, rewarding diligent litter pickers.
And here is the beatboxing bin. This is how it works. You throw away your litter.
Just beats and I'm emptying the trash in the bin.
And the bin lets you know. It says thank you.
Funded by Arts Council England, the bins are part of an initiative to boost creativity among children and foster good environmental habits for life.
This project is a project between Medway Council and Ideas Test. And it's a creative health project, so it's a focus on Luton and Brompton, two specific areas, thinking about how creativity can help improve health, either from a physical perspective, well-being perspective, or an environmental perspective. It started with a consultation with community members about what, particularly for Luton, what it is that they wanted to see change. And they articulated that litter was a big thing, and they also articulated that if we were going to think about creative ways to solve or help litter issues, that actually a good place to start was with young people.
The bin's 40 different voices, among beatboxer Rupert Aldridge, include children from local schools, Luton Primary and Phoenix Primary School. Getting children excited about the bins through beatboxing sessions played a key role.
The teacher who taught us how to beatbox, we come on most Wednesdays, where then when we beatbox and have some beatboxing battles.
I love beatboxing first of all, and also it's good for the environment, like Martin said, so we can pick up litter and just help the world.
It's a joint project from Ideas Test and Medway Council, but our 8 singing bins along Luton Road, more trash than treasure, where Medway already has significant problems on its plate.
People's idea of what art and culture is different for everybody. It's like not everyone's going to be inspired by going to a theatre or painting or something like that. But it's all forms of culture. I think music's particularly great at involving lots of people, and obviously like kind of that beatbox culture comes out of a culture which isn't from privilege and all those kind of things. So I think it's a great way in really.
And with the bin ready to freestyle, there was only one thing left to do. Celebrate, of course, with a beatboxing match, the only rappers welcome on Luton Road for the foreseeable. Megan Shaw for KMTV in Chatham.
Please do not pollute the earth.
Great piece from Megan there. Now it's time for a quick look at the weather. Into this evening, Kent will have clear skies throughout, temperatures reaching highs of 9 degrees, dipping to around 7. Tomorrow morning will bring some sunshine, breaking through the clouds, highs of 10 degrees in Margate and Canterbury, lows of around 9 degrees. The afternoon set to turn cloudier, though temperatures will edge up slightly in some areas, highs of 11 in Medway and Dartford, lows around 10 degrees. And here's your outlook. Friday will be cloudy all day, temperatures reaching around 13 degrees. Saturday it'll be just a bit cooler, highs of 11, with some sun. Sunday, slightly warmer, highs of 12. And last up tonight, what kind of Christmas tree do you prefer? Well, the holiday is on the very near horizon with just over 2 weeks to go until the big day. Now, those age-old decoration debates might start to rear their heads once again. Questions like when is it too early to start decorating come around every year. So we took to Rainham and Rochester to let the public weigh in on those discussions.
Today we are here on the streets to ask the people of Kent about their Christmas trees.
Probably real, but I've always had a plastic one, so I feel like I've got to say plastic.
Real. Real. Real.
The wife puts them up normally a week before.
Personally, at home, I usually put them up kind of quite late in the year because my dog likes my fresh tree at home. He obviously feels that's his little pea post for him. So kind of, yeah, quite late in the year. But in the high street, because the Christmas festival starts, I have a premises in the high street. I put them up quite early. In fact, I had to put them up in November this year.
December 1st, but I'm not opposed to it mid-November.
December 1st.
October.